Good afternoon, everybody. Edward Leos here. I'm excited about today's Travel Talk podcast. Got our editor-in-chief, Jennifer Broome, joining me on this show. And we're really excited because we're talking the eclipse, which is a very big deal coming around the corner. And we're excited about that on April 8th. Tell us a little bit about that, Jennifer.
Oh, I am so excited. And, it's really hard not to catch the total solar eclipse mania that is sweeping that path that's going to go from Texas all the way up to Maine. And here's why it's kind of like why people are so crazy about it, because it's not going to happen again until I want to make sure I get the dates right. The next time a total solar eclipse after April 8th that we'll be able to see in the United States is 2044, and that's going to be in North Dakota and Montana, and then 2045 from California to Florida. So we have to wait a while, which is why I think people are getting so excited about it. It's been really interesting to me watching, like what happened in 2017. I flew to South Carolina because my hometown was in the path for that one. I drove from Denver down to Mesa Verde National Park for the annular solar eclipse that happened back in October. And there's just something about sitting there, standing there, wearing the goofy glasses, and just kind of being there with a bunch of different strangers that you don't know, or a bunch of different friends that you do know, friends and family, but all taking it in at one time. And I can remember back in October with the annular eclipse, as soon as it hit that maximum point, everybody started cheering, and it's just good, wholesome fun that I think sometimes we kind of miss in this crazy world that we're in these days. But yeah, there are a lot of ways that you can see it. There's still opportunities to go to different places and get there and really take in this tremendous experience that, a lot of us are going to get to see.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. And I didn't know the date when the next one will be. So 2044. So that's a big, this amplifies things even more.
You're not missing it, are you?
No, you're not you're not going to want to miss this too. And I've, having known you for a while now, and we've been talking about this for a while, the eclipse coming up and the importance of what it is. I did like what you talked on, the fact that, communities and people just getting together and almost having like one, looking up to the heavens almost, and being excited about this cool event. And so that's really a neat aspect of a hospitality tourism, and then just kind of getting out in the world and seeing what's around us. So what are some of the top spots in the nation that the path is going to kind of be on?
Well, I think you've got a lot of different options, and I'll kind of go through some for you. And first of all, that being, really getting into the national parks that are in the path. And they do include Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas, which is just such a cool national park. If you're a baseball fan, I know it's like Hot Springs and baseball, but they do go hand in hand. If you are a baseball fan, then Hot Springs National Park should be kind of one of your hot spots or in your short list to visit, because it has such a baseball history. The wellness factor there, they're just some really neat, unique soaking experiences. Just kind of, it's a cool small town that the national park encompasses in order to protect the bathhouses, which are historic. You can also up in Cleveland, Cuyahoga National Park. It is so cool, and it's so easy to get to from downtown Cleveland. There's lots of space there, lots of opportunities to really take advantage and get that prime spot in a national park. So I think that's one way to do it. I think another way is also to, what I would say, like, be a river rat, and that means like get out on the water. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a river, but it can be. And to give you, it can be a lake, give you some options. So the International Amistad Reservoir in Amistad National Recreation Area, I have to look at that to make sure I get it all right. It is going to be the first place to get it. So that is in Texas. Get that time on the water to see that. But then you can get up into some areas like the 135-mile Buffalo National River in Arkansas is a great place to see it. By the way, that's one of the few undammed rivers in the contiguous U.S.
Wow.
Ozark Riverway there in Missouri is another fabulous place to kind of get on the water. And if you don't want to get on the water, if you don't want to be out in a kayak or, on a canoe, or paddleboard, I get that, because part of the fun with the eclipse is honestly when the shadows start forming. It is just the coolest thing to see on the ground. The shadows, you see these little half moon shadows that are just dancing everywhere. It's when everything gets so dark, and, we are going to get over 4 minutes of darkness. So you're going to hear, the crickets and everything kind of come alive that you hear at dusk. You're going to hear the birds kind of quiet back down, but then as it starts getting lighter, they start getting louder again. So the impacts on wildlife, whether that range from, the larger animals to the birds to the insects, they're noticeable impacts on the natural world. The temperature drop that you could experience, it could even be up to a 5 to 10 degree temperature drop in a matter of a few minutes, and depending on where you are. But you will experience some type of, at least a minimal temperature drop. So those are kind of some things that you could experience, whether in the national park or on the river. Also the national monuments and national memorials that are in, there are 27 units of the National Park Service that are in the path of totality. So you have a lot of options. And some of those, I'm a big proponent of doing national monuments and doing national memorials, national battlefields, all the different things that go beyond the 63 national parks, because those are approachable in a half day, in an hour, in 2 hours, or a day, depending on what it is. But there are quite a few of those. Just to give you some of those, Waco Mammoth National Monument in Waco, Perry's Victory National Memorial in Put-in Bay, Ohio. I've been there. You take a ferry ride over, so you get that bonus of, a little challenge to get over, but you go on the ferry and it's just a cool little spot to be. And then you can go on up into Maine as well. But, you and I have actually talked about, it's getting almost, if you want to fly into some of the major cities that are in the path of totality, the availability is starting to get very, very, very slim on those flights, and the prices are so high. So if you still are thinking about flying, I would strongly suggest potentially looking at a secondary airport. And the same thing as like road tripping of, go to a smaller area and that's outside of the bigger metropolises of, say, like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, even the San Antonio and Austin, or the Cleveland. You might want to think maybe Akron, Ohio is an option for you. There's just so many other options besides just a Dallas or an Indianapolis. There's also such a huge buzz in some of these kind of smaller cities, like a Grapevine or a Plano, Texas. They're doing all kinds of activities, not just for the 2 hour block that we're all going to be sitting waiting for it to happen. And, just that outside of that chunk of time, it's going to be like a whole weekend, a couple of day affair, so that you can kind of go and really plan a fun trip, whether that be a road trip, or if you can still get one of the seats on a flight to do that. I mean, I'll tell you, I booked mine way back in August. Flying into San Antonio for it, but really looking at some of those smaller towns. And it's not just in Texas where they're doing that. You can go on up into places like Lake Placid, the Finger Lakes in New York. I was there in the fall in both places, and they were already buzzing and could not wait for the total solar eclipse. So really kind of look into some of those smaller cities and smaller towns, but also at the same time, some of these smaller towns, especially that are in the path, they may not have city services available during the timing of the eclipse for that 4 minutes plus. And some of the smaller towns, they're doing things like, no school for the day. Because they are expecting such an influx of people coming from all over. I would also say just make sure you're courteous too. Make sure, don't just pull into somebody's ranch land or their yard, or it's
Exactly.
be respectful where you park is probably something I should throw out there. But there's just so many opportunities. Hey, even a parking lot, is a great spot, if nothing else, because you don't have to worry so much about getting away from city lights like you would with the night sky. You don't have to worry about that for this. So if you're in a parking lot, a big shopping center, parking lot area would be okay to see it. And then if you do want to or you live in one of the bigger cities, or you're thinking about well, I can't really find anything in some of the smaller areas. Maybe I'll just go into the bigger cities. There are people that have been booking multiple rooms in single places and in multiple places. So
Yeah.
there will be some last minute deals when those hotel rooms are released at the last minute. There's also some really cool things. There's things like I've heard there's a flight that's going to kind of follow the path of totality that, you can buy a ticket just for that
Just to
flight.
do that. Wow.
Just to do that. Yeah. And then you're going to have people, the eclipse chasers that are they're jockeying for that best spot. Where's the weather going to be the best? Where's it going to be the worst? I will tell you, if there happens to be clouds and storms in San Antonio that day, this one is going to be one of those eclipse chasers and going to get in the car and hit it. Yeah. And if you are going to do that, I would just tell you, make sure you allot extra time. I can tell you what happened in 2017, like up in Wyoming. You had like Casper, Wyoming, which is not that small of a town, but they were inundated with people because it is a very affordable destination and because of their wide open spaces that they have there, just inundated. And Casper is normally about a 3-hour drive or so from Denver, 3.5. And people from Denver, it was taking them 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 hours coming back. So, when you watch it, also kind of plan to maybe just have some fun in the area that you're in immediately afterwards. Go to a restaurant, do something in that area because there is going to be a lot of traffic congestion. Let that die down, enjoy, relax, and have fun with whoever you're with. Or if you're solo, just enjoy the quiet time.
No, definitely. I've heard about a lot of things here in Texas, for instance. They're having these gatherings and they're like, we got to plan for the congestion in some of the smaller towns. Tyler is one of them, and Marble Falls, and is another one. They're been talking about different things, and yeah, you've got to be that. So I love your take. Be respectful of people's property and where you are. I love the experience options that you're throwing out, whether it be on the river or whether it just be in the parking lot. And I love the fact that when we're bringing this to the forefront here, it's really about the experience.
It is truly about the experience. And again, it's a wholesome experience. It is, I think you said earlier, it's kind of that chance to gaze up to the heavens. There will be some type of emotional, spiritual for everyone that will happen, that moment of pause, the quietness, the stillness, the natural sounds that happen, the cheers from folks when it happens, which it's unexpected, but conversations with strangers, and because we're all there for the same reason, and you do have that opportunity to actually talk to each other. It just people selling I kind of wish my birthday was on that day because that'd be such a fun birthday gift to have. But but birthday celebrations, wedding anniversaries, all kinds of stuff like that. It's that chance to just have that just good fun.
Yep. A good fun, good memories, good moments. And again, that's the purpose of travel and tourism and hospitality. And you're combining it with an event like this. It's really a special time. So Jennifer, I want to thank you for being on our podcast. You gave our guests, our listeners, some incredible tips for the eclipse, things to do and suggestions. And I'm excited for them to listen to this. For anybody who is listening, please follow us, please like us, please share this. There's some great content here at the Hotel Guide. And again, we want to thank you for listening and for continuing to follow us. And in the meantime, travel, make some memories, and enjoy that eclipse, and be kind as well. In the meantime, everyone, take care. Till next time.